The Dub Variety Hour featuring Thomas and Damien. Enjoy the show.
What is the magic sound that you guys are hearing again? Is it the end of the world? Or is it a new beginning? It's been 6 years since the last podcast.
Seriously, I do think the last podcast was 5 months ago because it was before my kids were born, and they're almost 5 months already. That's how long it's been.
Sounds about right.
Holy shit!
Yeah, because I've done one. I think I've done one, or probably just one since we last recorded one, and that was with Jason, where we were just shooting the shit about some movies and shit.
Was he better than me?
He was drunker than you, that's for sure. He was hammered, and then in between takes, all right, let's do another shot of tequila. And by let's, I mean I will, and me referring to Jason, just continually drinking. So, but it was fun.
Good. Okay. Well, it is so nice to actually sit down with you again and do a podcast. I mean, correction, we have met up.
Yes, we've done quite a few things. We've hung out, we've met up. I've gotten to meet the boys.
Yes.
Which full disclosure, I don't know, it has not been officially mentioned in the podcast, but
no,
Tom is the brand new owner of two twins.
Yes.
Got him at the dealership up the block.
It was it's a good monthly payment. No. Yes, two healthy boys, Zach and Luca. I'm very happy.
They're getting bigger and bigger every day, and now they're at that age where they're a little more responsive.
Just like their father.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of them called me a motherfucker today. I'm like, oh, that's Tom's son.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the first time we're catching up, quote unquote.
Right.
Because usually in the podcast we shoot the shit. Not that we don't shoot the shit when we are in person without the microphones, but this is our moment to like really dive into conversations.
For sure.
So it's been 5 months since our real serious podcast.
We should have just brought the mics and just had them recording as we were shooting the shit before. You know,
That's true.
It would have been the same shit. But this works. You know, it's a little more. You know, on I guess the guard is on again.
Yes, it is. Or if we want to go off the rails, who's here to stop us? We have no producers.
Nobody. I produce my own shit.
Yes.
This podcast will be out in 16 months.
So,
man.
What has been going on? So for those who don't know, I like how I asked you a question, then I'm jumping in front of the answer. But for everyone who probably doesn't know, Damien is trying to buy a house.
Yes, I am.
How is that? I haven't really touched base with you on that in a little bit.
It's been a super slow crawl, and then when I finally decided to like put a little more effort into it, I called up I used the app Zillow, right?
Okay.
And there's like a house nearby my sister's place. It's a fixer-upper.
Okay.
It would only run me about $230,000, which is a steal in New York housing shopping.
100%.
But it's like a super fixer-upper, so it needs like a new roof. It needs a lot of interior work.
So like 100,000 plus, and
maybe I could get lucky. Maybe it'll be under 100,000 of repairs, but excuse me,
bless you.
But more than likely, it would be a decent amount of money towards the house. But overall, once you get it up and running, it's an investment. I have my own place to live. I'm out of dirty Dean land, and everything is copacetic in the world. So,
may I ask you? Let me jump in really quick.
Yeah, of course.
What is the story with Dean? And those who doing a recap, Dean is Damien's roommate, who hasn't been in the apartment for a year and a half.
Yep, pretty much.
So, Damien's been living by himself, but the ghost of his filth still haunt him every day.
So he stopped by maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
he was there for like 4 or 5 days, and then he dipped out again.
Okay.
He still hasn't paid his share of rent, and they left a notice on the door recently.
No shit.
Yeah, not like an eviction notice, but it's like one of those like, hey, we're going to take you to court and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like,
whoa.
I sent it to him, and I'm just like, hey, so yeah, I've been paying my share, but yeah, take care of this. Okay, bye. So.
Well, at least they didn't post it, so that's not embarrassing, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So at least they did it that way.
There was a time where, you know, he was a little bit behind in the rent.
Okay.
I pay my shit, like, since the day I moved in. Yep. Maybe one or a couple months when I first moved in, I might have been a couple days late. Anyways.
Point is that you always paid your rent.
I always paid my shit on time.
Made sure your shit was never late.
So there was a point where he was starting to get behind, and he hadn't paid for a couple months. And he came to me, and he's just like, yeah, so, we just got to figure this out. And I'm like, what is there to figure out? I paid my share. You got this covered. You got to figure that out. There's nothing to figure out.
Right.
I paid my share. I'm not lending you any money. I'm not providing any additional money. I paid my share. I'm already paying 2/3 of the apartment rent. There is no negotiating here other than I paid, you figure it out.
Right.
I left it at that. So
I don't blame you. So. I think 100% that is the approach, because unless what my thought process is that he's hoping that you just take over the whole rent, because in his eyes he doesn't live there anymore.
I mean, if that would be perfectly fine, but I would make sure his stuff gets removed from the apartment, and that would be my apartment. So,
without a doubt. Because for those of you who have not seen Damien's apartment, who have not watched Detective Stewart, and if you haven't, F you.
Shame on you.
Yeah. Most of the apartment is occupied by Dean's stuff, because Dean has the biggest room in the house, which is the living room, the common room.
It's technically the living room, dining room area. It's kind of sort of a wraparound L shape that funnels into the kitchen.
Right.
So it's open space, but it is also an extended amount of space compared to like my enclosed room.
Right. And if it wasn't for, I mean, yeah, if he really did move his stuff out. Well, so then the question then would be, if he moved all his stuff out and was like, all right, it's your apartment, rent is whatever the amount is, would you then say all prospects for buying a house I'll put on hold because now I have my own, really have my own apartment to myself?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. I mean, for that, for what I'd be paying in rent, it would probably be okay.
Okay.
And I would just further continue to save for a house. But it would just maybe make the house buying a long-term goal.
Sure.
As opposed to right now, it's just a semi-long-term goal. It's still a long-term goal.
Right.
But yeah, I think I would probably live there for a little bit more if it was exclusively me.
Well, let's hope that ends up being the case where he just fucking leaves.
I mean, that would be great. But unfortunately, he said he's probably coming back in August. So, yeah, he's coming back.
Well, how many times he did say, I'm coming back, and he never did. So
that's true. Yeah, and he was saying he probably will for the sake of, depending on if the media doesn't blow this Delta out of proportion. When, Delta's killing people and fucking things up. No, but the media's blowing out of proportion.
Oh, so in other words, he's probably not working either.
On and off. Yeah, he has been. I don't know. I can't keep track.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But that's the saga of Dean.
Yeah. It's a long and annoying and kind of boring saga, but we'll be right back with one of our many sponsors.
Jump, 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 jump. All Jimmy wanted to do was hit the home run. Jump, 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 jump. But there was one thing that was causing him not to do or reach that goal. Jump, 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 jump.
Venereal disease.
All right, well, welcome back. So I've been dying to dive into this if you're ready for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So a couple
is it what I'm looking over at to the right of me right now? I think I know where this is going.
100%. So a couple of months ago, Damien and I, well, actually back in January, Damien and I pre-ordered on Indiegogo a handheld portable PC. It looks like a Switch, but it's really a PC from a company called GPD, who for a bit I was on and off doing research on them, but this is their third product line or third model or fourth model, whatever. But this one in particular caught my interest because it has a slide-up screen like an old Sidekick, has a touch screen, keyboard, which is not that great, but it's got the design of a Switch. It's
it's like it pretty much is. You hit the nail on the
head.
There you go. That word. It looks like an oversized
Switch.
It looks like a Switch, but it looks like an oversized Sidekick combined with a Switch.
Yeah.
And thus it is formed. But
yeah.
it looks. I mean, in all honesty, the one thing about it is it's very sleek. It looks very cool.
Yes, it's got some weight to it, which a lot of things that I buy sometimes when you pick it up and you're like, oh, it's kind of light. You're like, probably cheap. Right. Not to say that anything you pick up heavy may be good build quality too, but I will say at least for this, although it's a handheld. It's got nice weight to it. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. It's got a somewhere balance in between where it feels like the price that's you're paying for it, you feel like you're getting some sort of quote unquote good quality.
Right. There's a little
item.
oomph to the weight, which makes it seem sort of high quality or high. They put enough parts in there that keeps it running smoothly.
Right.
Which it seems so. Like, I mean, it for in terms of efficiency and what is underneath there, it's good.
Well, so
but the problem of what's in there, it's not as versatile with everything that you need for something like that.
right.
It's more a problem, I guess, that kind of relies within, I guess, Intel to an extent.
So yes, so what's underneath the hood on this little thing is an Intel processor. So it's got like a Intel Iris Xe graphics card.
I was also going to say, by the way, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I was going to say I'll leave all the specs to you because you know them a lot better than me. I'm like, yeah, Intel something or other. People all the time, it's like, yo, what's under there? What can you put on there? I'm like, you can put games and like movies and you could do stuff with it. I give them a very generic response because I just don't know enough about the specs.
The spec.
So continue.
I'll try my best here. So it's Intel.
I'll break them down for layman's terms if need be.
Okay. So Intel Iris Xe chip, which is relatively a new graphics chip that is used in some kind of low mid-tier budget computers nowadays if they use an Intel processors. In terms of the Intel processor, it's an i7. In this case, it's 1165 G7. So there was two options when we were shopping. It was either an i5 1135 or an i7 1165, and the price was really like $120. So
yeah, worth it for just that minor upgrade
100
just to have a little more efficiency overall in the system. So
because it's not a minute difference between the two. Apparently it's a pretty significant difference from if you did the i5 to the i7. And at the same time, if you did the top tier one, you're better off doing the top tier one only because if you're going to go handheld or if you're going to use this as a secondary computer or substitute it for a primary computer because the one you have is not work because this also comes with a dock, then you want something that has a little more juice. Yeah. So we got the same thing. We got dark, like gunmetal dark gray. There was like a Indiegogo silver one, which was like their special edition, which to me didn't look that good. But
yeah, I think dark gray kind of goes standard.
Yeah,
like it looks sleek as hell, and I was content with that enough.
And apparently that's the most popular one, the dark gray one. But so it's got like a 5.5 inch screen. So the screen is kind of small, but I think you sacrifice that for the sake of being as portable with it as possible.
I was just going to say portability kind of makes up for the lack of excessive screen, which is fine.
Right. And then it has like a micro SD slot. It's got a NVMe memory, which for those who don't know, SSD usually was like the standard for like fast and stuff, but NVMe 2 slots are really quick. They're also smaller, so it's got a 1 terabyte in there. So when you do
also has one little USB port,
on
but
top.
goes a long way.
Yes, that one
you
USB
literally don't need much other than that.
100%. I have used that USB slot all the time to hook up an external hard drive, if, downloading games.
Yeah,
or
you were
running
doing
things.
that not too long ago before we started going here.
Yeah, I use it all the time. And then what I have been using recently is the dock.
Right.
For my birthday, my brother got me a portable monitor.
Oh, sweet.
It was like pretty cheap on Amazon. He's like, "Do you want this?" He goes, "I know you got the computer." I was like, "Oh fuck, I didn't even think about that."
Oh,
so
nice.
I literally popped that on the table and I play that, and that's how I play because.
Well, that brings up a good point because I finally got Max Payne 3 to run after I found a low optimization something or other to get it up and running, which we'll dive into. We'll explain a couple of our feats and losses with getting certain games and not getting other ones. But anyways, I was playing it and I wanted to show it off to my cousin, just show him what I got in the game because he was a Max Payne watcher of me when I would play it back when I was young. So I put on Max Payne 3 for him to watch as I played. So I was going to play it on the handheld, but I said, fuck it, let me just hook it up to the TV. Right. Hooked it up to everything. And as it's there, it starts being there's a lag that's noticeable. There's a sort of slowdown that was very prevalent from the handheld to the hookup to the screen. Yes. So back to what you said with getting the little smaller screen and something a little more low res and more handheld attached to it, just slightly, extended. I have a feeling that probably ran pretty smooth from what you played, right?
No.
Oh shit.
So
damn. I was really hoping you were going to say yes.
No, actually, it's funny that you say that because there is a lag between what you see because I don't know how to yet, but I usually have so when the GPD is docked, the screen is on and running. I don't know how to like when the switch when you dock it, it shuts off and it goes to the TV.
So it's running on both pretty much, right?
Right. So we got both going.
Which is probably leading to some of that lag.
Probably. And
Yeah.
but that's how it's allowed me to like look over, because I noticed I was like, why is the screen on the bigger monitor, why is it lagging a little bit? And then I look down and it's running a little smoother.
Yeah.
So I think there's some sort of, there's definitely something I'm not setting up right on how it's being sent over. There's definitely a little latency issue.
Right.
Not to a point that it's completely unplayable. It's 100% playable.
Okay.
It's just, it's noticeable if you're if
for
you're not
sure.
if you're not engaging yourself in the games and you're more concerned on how it runs, then that's what you're gonna be paying attention to. But
Well,
yeah,
I will say, in terms of playing Max Payne 3 and using bullet time, the little slowdown kind of helped me, you know? I was getting ganged up by a bunch of gang members, and I was able to sort of take advantage of the slowdown to, like, shoot a couple guys in their head. So it kind of helped, but it still, you know, then when the game tried to go on further, then it got a little annoying. So.
well, see, okay, and that brings me to one of my big problems with the machine.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that it's GPD's issue, but I'm gonna blame them too, because it was a deciding factor. So GPD, which I'll get into other issues in a little bit, but right now they release another model, which is like a successor of the one that came before this particular one that Damien and I have.
They iPhoned us. They literally dropped the one that we invested in within the 6 to 9 month period. They already got the other one
with
to
better
replace
specs.
it, with specs that they realize, oh wow, this is what we should have done for the previous one. Already into it.
So the GPD.
Sorry, but is the same design? Like it's a slide up screen, or
No,
is it
it's
like
a clamshell.
It is a fuck.
Yeah,
Goddamn clamshell.
and it actually has a touch. It's got a physical keyboard.
God damn it!
But it's wider. So
I remember you mentioned it to me, and I was gonna go look for it. I'm like, I don't want to go looking for it because I know it's just gonna piss me off. So
off the record, I was gonna say you want to go look for it and then see if maybe you invested. But I don't know.
Well, we'll see. If I put this one up online, then maybe.
Maybe. Well, so this is the GPD Win 3.
Yeah.
The GPD Win Max is the one that came out right before this one, and now they have the Win Max like revamped. So basically, what that has is we have the top tier 1165, but you can get for the same price that we paid. Literally 5 months later, you can get now an 1195, same thing XC chip, which apparently is faster, not by much, but it's quicker. Or you can opt for a AMD Ryzen chip, which is not as strong as the Intel one, but with AMD you have better productivity in terms of like running things. In this case, like there's I feel better control, better hands-on experiences with updating graphic firmwares and stuff. So one of my issues with
might actually be able to run Call of Duty Black Ops,
and that's the problem. So one of the major games. One of several is the game. This right now cannot run Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Cannot run it.
When we say we have tried every possible option to try to run this motherfucker, we have tried every possible option to run this motherfucker.
Yeah.
When I like me personally, I've tried a bunch. You did research and actually looked into a lot of stuff, and you were feeding me a lot of like, hey, try it this way, try it that way. Already from before, you had tried a bunch of different ways on my phone. I mean, I'm sorry, on my on my GPD, but yeah,
it just doesn't.
No possible way.
No possible way.
It breaks down in the same spot every time. It just it doesn't get past the load screen.
Yeah,
and then it pretty much gives you the standard error message that is, unfixable. So,
and apparently, Activision, for some reason, has not fixed an error with running it on Intel integrated graphics cards. So, So again, it's not so much an Intel issue, but at the same time, there's still a couple of games that will not run that well on Intel graphics cards. And Intel, in my opinion, is just a little slow with kind of developing new updates for their graphic drivers.
Right. I think the thing with Intel is it wasn't developed for something to be updated so quickly on a system like this. So pretty much it's more so GPD's fault than anything.
I know they should.
But same with Activision. Like other than that, like I mean, there's been a lot of games that have run pretty.
Oh yeah. This thing
standardly.
Aside from Call of Duty, because I'm not gonna stop my life for fucking one game, but I will say for a small device, this thing is pretty impressive. I mean, one of my favorite games is Wolfenstein.
Oh man.
I was playing
Which one were you playing?
the other day I was playing Wolfenstein 2. Was that the new Colossus?
Okay. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
That runs on ultra graphics, and I think it was topping out like 75 frames.
Oh shit. Okay.
Fucking buttery smooth.
Awesome.
And running into the monitor, looked great. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's games like that which, you know, you didn't think would run that well. And I know it came out a few years ago. But, again, keep in mind, it's a small handheld. It literally it's just a little smaller.
Yeah, it might be like
Switch.
a little bit under a foot long.
Yeah,
and half a foot, if not less than a half a foot wide. So it's a tiny little thing.
And it's playing all these games. Like, these are AAA games. So that's impressive in its own thing. Now,
agreed.
My issue that I've been wanting to present is before we got our units, they were shipped. Damien and I were connected to the Discord channel for a GPD for this particular model.
Yeah,
so
and I honestly I didn't even jump into it up until I was having issues with it. I was looking in there troubleshooting, trying to figure out how to run Call of Duty.
Right.
Because at first I was like, all right, let me get this game running. And then after a point, I'm like, all right, I get it. It's not going to run whatever. But your feverishness to get it to run became contagious to me. And I was like, all right, no, you know what? I'm going to figure out a fucking way. I'm going to try every option. I'm going to put comments in this Discord, see if anybody pings me back a response. And we had many random solutions, but mostly the consensus was it's not possible.
It's not going to work, yeah.
So.
But bigger than Call of Duty, while our units were getting shipped out, many people were so pissed off because there are people who their numbers were like number 2, number 3. You know, my numbers was like in the 5,000s, and I think Damien's was a 7.
Yeah, I think I ordered it a little bit after.
Yeah, it was like March or whatever, or February. And so like there were people who like were like there was one guy who's the first guy to buy it, and his unit didn't come until like because ours was supposed to ship. We'll have it by no later than May. And this guy's unit didn't ship until like the end of May. So like, and then people who had higher numbers were getting it beforehand. So the whole process of how it was getting shipped and was just a little fucking janky. But the most concerning part was a lot of people have received inferior Wi-Fi chips. So like an older, slower model. And that also included Bluetooth 4.0 versus Bluetooth 5.0, which is what, fortunately, Damien and I have both.
Yeah, that was actually the first thing when I opened mine up. That was the first thing I checked and made sure it was fully functional. Which brings me to another quick little segue.
Yeah.
But did mine come before yours?
Yours came like 2 days before mine.
Okay, which is funny because you ordered yours way before mine, but just
which I don't know.
Little side tidbit to add to the complaints and annoyance.
It's just annoying because you got yours on a Friday and mine came on a Sunday.
Yeah,
so like nothing like was like I didn't even think about it. I was just more like excited. I was excited and nervous to get it because of what ended up happening was the compensation for the people who got the lesser version one was like $30, and people were like, you fucking like this thing was $1,000.
Here's $30 for the inconvenience, guys, but now you can't run it properly.
Right. And people are just complaining because they have new Wi-Fi routers, and they were like, you know, some people are like, oh, you're acting nuts. It's the same. You're gonna get the same speeds. And a lot of people are like, no. So, lo and behold, if you invested in this unit in, I guess April, which was like after the Indiegogo early campaign.
Yeah.
So the people who got their shit now got a better Wi-Fi chip than we did.
Of course they did.
And
they probably got enough fucking complaints because I mean I didn't even look at the numbers of how crowdfunded it was.
Oh, it's like they made like $6 million.
Oh, so there you go. They probably had just as many complaints, probably 1 billion complaints if that's how much money they made. So
yeah, this is like one of the most profitable campaigns they've had.
Well, another quick side note segue related to that is I don't know if you saw, but Steam is now making one. Steam has a little handheld. I believe it's a clamshell that my brother.
No, not clamshell. Not clamshell.
Oh, okay. I could have sworn it was. Oops.
Little side note. I pre-ordered it.
Oh, you did.
I put a $5 deposit down.
I think Kedron did too.
I got the 256 gig model because I was like, it was like the same price as what Xbox or whatever, and I was like, you know what?
Expansive memory on it.
Probably like a micro SD.
Okay.
If anything, a hard drive. Yeah, I did it because it was $5, and I was like, fine. If I change my mind, I lost $5. I'm not gonna cry about it. But B, I was like, it's also $400, which is not cheap, but it's also not $1,000. And apparently, the operating software in there is directly Steam, So they're going to have full control, and it's a big-ass company.
Yeah.
So apparently the hardware that's going to be in that, not too far off from what the ones we have now have. So I was like, now I'm at a spike to myself. I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna do a fucking comparison, and I'm gonna see like how much I just lost out on this thing, because I know
that will also be another follow-up podcast.
Yes. And that's getting released in, I think, December and January.
Well, my brother's getting it too, and instantly he's like, you know how much I spent on it compared to what you spent on that GPD? I'm like, first of all, fuck you, but second off, you're right.
Well, which one did he get?
I'm not sure which version. I don't know how many they dropped too, but
it's like a 64 gig, a 256, and then the 512.
I'm gonna assume he probably went middle ground unless he went big and went home. You know.
Yeah, the big one going home is like $600, which.
You know what? The $600 price rings a bell.
Okay, so
he might have done that.
I don't know. Your brother probably got the bigger one.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think the unit's good. My battery hasn't been great.
Right.
I also use the shit out of it. I do use it a lot. I bring it to work. I bought it
Nice.
primarily to bring to work, and then second to play games on it. And it runs Premiere, After Effects, all my audio programs. Like, it actually runs it really well. Actually, I rendered something the other day on After Effects because I was fucking around with it. It was so much faster than, like, I have a Surface. Then it was so much faster than the Surface. It was like it was really quick. I was really impressed. And that I had layers with, like, I had graphic layers, special effects, whatever.
Yeah.
So there are definitely pros and cons. Would I ever sell it? I don't know. Would I be enticed with Damien to convince Damien to maybe get an AMD one or maybe get the souped up Intel one? I don't know. We'll talk about it after the podcast. But
to be discussed.
To be discussed.
Depends on how many beers I have. It might be convincible, you know.
I'm telling you, if you do it, I definitely will do it. I think if we do it, I think we should do AMD, just because, well, although
a little more wide range of options in terms of what we can take on.
Right, because all we're doing is we're spending all that money. We're spending all that money for a little bit faster chipset that we have now.
Right.
So at least it'll give us the benefit. Anyway, point is, so my final review of GPD.
Yeah.
I'll sum it up in 2 sentences, or I'll sum it up in a couple sentences. Great form factor, decent build.
Yeah.
Nice clear screen with a strong strong performance for a little device.
For sure.
But that gets boggled down by poor customer service. A processor that's not really that friendly when it comes to a couple of games.
Yeah.
And longevity that is to be desired, because how I look at it, I mean, I was feeling your triggers, and compared to mine squeaks already.
Oh wow.
My back ones wiggle and yours don't. And you said, I asked you when I picked you up before, you said you don't really use it, and it shows.
I haven't really used it, and
that thing still feels new. It hasn't broken in yet.
Worn.
So that's what I'm trying. I don't think this is gonna last as long as it's. I think in a year I'm gonna have issues. I mean, we were joking around because they're already selling fucking knobs and
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just gonna say that. It's like, why are they selling replacement knobs for it? Is there any particular reason other than they know that they're gonna wear down in a fucking minute?
Yeah. So overall, out of 10, I think I would give it a fair 7.
Okay.
Only because I'm pretty impressed.
I had a feeling that was the number you were going to say.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be worked on this unit.
As they say, tough but fair. Tough but fair. That is a tough but fair rating.
I think, you know what? I think if this thing was like $700, I think that'd be totally fair.
Oh, yeah. If the price was more matched with what you received at the end of it, it would have made a little bit more sense.
Right.
So I'm curious. I mean, I would like to look into it, but I don't have the time or the patience for it. But I would look into what net profits they are making to how much this thing costs to be put together. But I know it's probably some astronomical amount. It's just going to make me more upset.
Yeah. Because, people who opened this up, they were looking at the SSD, the NVM that was in there. And so a lot of the parts are like, you're getting those, you're getting what they say in terms of memory and all that. But you're not, it's like, basically, I want to get a camera. I want to get a knockoff camera. It says it's the same thing, and I'm going to save like $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get it, but the chance that that's going to last and give you the same sort of work ethic. What I'm trying to say is, the build quality is built in a way that I think it's going to function for a year or so, but with
Right.
heavy use and the kind of cheap components that they've put inside of it, I don't see my hard-earned money being put into a place where I say, here's $1,000.
Right.
I'm going to get fucking 10. You're like, you buy a PlayStation
The
4.
$1,000 did not go towards longevity, unfortunately.
Which
We
is
thought it would.
No.
and,
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, because that wasn't even a thought in my mind. I was like, oh, yeah, that's so expensive. So 100% this is going to be
It
like
has to
super
last for a
premium.
while.
Without a doubt.
And just funneling back to the previous ones. The previous ones were pretty everlasting.
Yeah, people
So-
was up until now. That's what caught me off guard because a lot of people were like, well, actually, sorry, that's what sold me because a lot of people were like, I'm still using the GPD Win 2 and I have Windows 10 on it and I'm running all these games. Like, it's such a great thing. And so people were super stoked. People who have been following this company for years. That's why I told Damien, I was like,
Yeah.
hey man, like, look, you can edit while taking a shit, like
Yeah.
it's that strong. And I'll stand
It's
by
true.
that. That's still true. That statement
Absolutely.
is still true. But
And also, I just wanted to, just for the sake of, since I have one right in front of me,
yeah,
I was going to point out the battery. In the, I guess probably it's been like, what, 30, 40 minutes since we started recording and we turned it on?
well, we can look at 30. Yeah, so it's been 35 minutes of talking.
Yeah, in the 30 or so odd minutes that we've been recording, it's probably on for maybe 10 minutes before that. So
Yeah.
I'd say this thing has been on for like 40 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
It was at like 92, 93%. The battery's at 72.
72.
Not bad.
Not bad.
It's in process of downloading a few games.
Right, which is using some juice. So
Exactly. When you're running another game or you're actually putting like the physical actual effort
That's
into
when
running, that's when the battery starts to be eaten alive.
Right.
So the downfall of that is, I guess this is just my little grief piece
yeah,
on
please,
that.
please.
The downfall of that is like, all right, well, I don't want to waste the battery, so I'll plug it into the dock and I'll play it on my big TV or wherever.
Right.
And you plug it in there, and then you lose the resolution, and you lose you lose all the latency that you'd expect to have from the transfer over. So
And for those, so this has the same resolution as a Nintendo Switch, so it's 720. And then when you go docked, it's 1080, I believe. I may be wrong on that, but I know for a fact there's a 720 screen. You don't need anything more than that because it's a 5-inch screen. Everything's going to look great. 720 on a small screen like that, it's going to look fantastic.
no, and I will say this: from every game that I've run on it, with the exception of Call of Duty, they look fine.
Yeah.
On that little screen,
Looks great.
hasn't been a problem.
And you're right. When you bring, you blow it up into a bigger screen, yeah, of course you start seeing some of the downfalls, and I think that's because the Iris Xe graphics card.
Right.
I again, it's not a like a top tier Nvidia or a top tier AMD, but like I think for the price point of what it is, it's supposed to be like a starter mid tier graphics for card. It's like it's somewhere. It's a mid range card. So
For sure.
I think you're getting the best that you can out of it. And like I said, I've played Wolfenstein on it, both handheld and on the screen.
Which I will have to be getting on my
Yes, I'll give it
on
to
here
you.
very soon.
It looks fantastic. And then you have games like like Modern Warfare. I have to play it on low because otherwise it's gonna boggle down and lag.
And I had to download another external extension for Max Payne 3 in order to run it on a lower resolution.
That's right.
Which once that was put into place, it ran fine. It ran perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a program called Low Spec Gamer or Experience, I think it's called. Yeah, Low Spec.
something like that.
And that's basically it optimized the games to play on a lower specs, but doesn't affect. It makes it fluid. It keeps it fluid. Keeps it from looking shitty. It just runs a quick.
Very, very similar to like when you're playing games on Steam and they have patches that you add on to like fix an old game
Exactly.
or get a game that's old that needs to be running on. I did the same thing with Max Payne. I found a patch that fixed all the little issues on it that was bugging out. So
Yeah, that's exactly. It's literally just an elaborate patch program, but it works. That is Max Payne 3 is the first game. I think the first game we both put on
Yes.
the GPD.
I believe so.
And yes, I remember having a little bit of lag issues, but once I downloaded the Low Spec Experience program, whatever, it was running perfectly fine.
Which reminded me of you told me to do the same thing, and I did. And I set it up, I ran it, and then I hit run, and it did like the the complete noise, but
Yeah.
the complete noise is the same as like an error message
The
noise.
Windows, yeah.
So I thought
Burp,
that I thought that it just didn't work. I'm like, yo, it's not working, man. It's not working. What's wrong with it? And then I realized after I ran it, I might have not been sober when I realized the initial time. So when I ran it and I read it, it said, okay, it has been run complete. You can now load the game.
Yeah.
So when I finally realized that, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's fine actually. It's running perfectly fine. So,
fine.
yeah.
So what would you? I know you haven't put hours into it, but what would you say? I guess owning it now we got it in May, so it's only been not even 3 months. So
Yeah, we just entered August, so
yeah,
3 months here. It's hard for me to say because I have not put enough operating time into it.
right.
But initially, it is pretty entertaining. It is fun. I just have not exhausted the full use of it. So I would probably say about a 7 as well.
Okay.
What was it? I was going to mention an issue with it. Oh, I was going to say, in terms of my mindset from when I saw it and when I bought it, I was very much in the mindset that it was going to be very much plug and play.
Okay.
And that's kind of ignorant of myself because I just didn't realize it's a Windows computer in your hand. So in terms of that, you have to have a little understanding and knowledge of being able to get it to run and being able to set it up. It isn't just put it on, get it running. So I had to sort of reteach myself. And because of that, I kind of gave it sort of a negative notion in my head initially. But upon playing it a little bit more and getting, like, officially when Max Payne played and it played good,
Right.
that was like a pinnacle moment where I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. So,
Yeah. I always knew about BIOS, like, the BIOS screen.
Yeah.
Never wanted to touch it because I was like, that was like one of those like gray.
oh,
areas,
yeah,
like-
right. Mm-hmm.
And then, but you kind of almost forced to do it here because GPD comes stocked with wattages, like every computer, but you're allowed up to like 35 watts of power. The higher
Right.
the power, the worse the battery if you go on handheld, but the better the games will perform.
Mm-hmm.
What this one comes stocked with like 25,000 watts or whatever, and I was like, okay, so let me see if I'm gonna just go strictly docked. Let me put, the portable side of the battery on 15,000, and I'm gonna put the docked version on 30,000.
Okay.
And I was like, let me see if that actually makes a difference, because on Discord, that's all people are talking about, how much they're switching. Sure enough, there are a decent amount of games like Wolfenstein I could play on 15 watts on Ultra. And then there are certain games when I went to Modern Warfare, I put on 30 watts. I made sure I was docked, had power going to it. And I was a noticeable reduce in lag. So, it's allowed me to at least now be a little better with PCs, and figuring out Windows.
It's like a knowledge game that you have to play as you're trying to play the system.
But you're totally right. You get a Switch. It's put a cartridge in, update this, set up your account, and you're good to go. This is like...
This involves a little more of that brain bending to sort of figure out how things go, which is in terms of somebody like yourself.
Yeah.
I know you're very much a problem solver in terms of things like this.
At least I try to be, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't say you try to. You successfully do so more often than so, but like with this thing, it's like it just kind of pulls that notion into you, and this is the first time hearing about like you messing with the BIOS, because I know before, but the last time we spoke about the BIOS, it was like the BIOS is like treacherous territory where it could just mean the system will no longer work anymore.
Fuck something up. Yeah.
So the fact that you further research it and figure out, and through the Discord, you're like, oh, okay, there's a way to keep things running on Ultra and actually still be crisp and pristine. All I got to do is tweak it such and such way. So
yeah, I'll do that to yours too.
Oh, you
for
better.
Standby versus dock.
That was implied. All right.
So 7 out of 10. I would say. I don't know if GPD has. By the way, GPD is not answering anybody anymore.
Please refresh us on the super random unprofessional response that he was giving before about something.
Oh, so yeah, okay.
One of the guys, I guess, customer support, or
yeah, I guess he's like this. I want to say like the spokesperson for he'll like answer. So this guy, he was the one that was answering all the questions like for shipping and tech questions, whatever. But when all the issues started arising with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth issues, he was trying the best he can to, say like, okay, we're looking into this issue. Not sure what happened. So once people were getting really pissed at the sort of compensation of $30, people are like, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. He just stopped. He just stopped speaking. Now people are like, are you going to figure this out? Like, what are we doing? So somebody was like, I'd rather just go buy some other handheld that came out around the same time. And then his response was just like a smiley face, or or it was just like
he hit him with the K cool.
Yeah, K cool. That was like, bro. He said, "Okay, bro." Like, I know there's a language barrier. It's understandable, but saying "okay, bro" or smiley face is kind of universal in a sense, where it's like,
oh yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of like, so at a certain point, I feel like GPD looks really unprofessional, and especially from those, you have those really loyal customers who have been buying every single one that comes out. Now you're running into all these issues, and now you're expecting people months later after putting money into this thing to say, "Hey, give me, I want to help buy this one now. Look at this; it's got better specs." But you're not going to acknowledge the issues that are arising from the ones that you just put out, and at the same time, your responses are so inappropriate and unhelpful. Makes you, begs you to wonder whether or not GPD is going to last any longer if they keep up with this kind of shit. Because other companies around this time, Steam included, are coming out with handhelds. Handheld PCs are becoming a thing because all this shit is becoming so much smaller. Put it to a small factor.
It could be as simple as they were the ones to walk so everybody else could run, but you got to keep up. It's like perfect example of this. Just flashback maybe 10 to 12 years ago. iPhones and Samsung phones. Samsung phones laid the charge to being more versatile phones in the world, but they did not look into their batteries. They did not look into the longevity of the phones.
Yeah.
And they fell behind, and iPhone led the charge. Flash forward now, like that was the problem. And they missed out on a lot of opportunities for money back in the day. Flash forward now, iPhones are kind of middle grounded in terms of a phone, and everybody else is making a phone. And Samsung can do leaps and bounds compared to an iPhone now.
Yeah.
So same thing. They got to catch the fuck up, or else they're going to be left behind.
And they're a small company. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not. They're not. They're not Steam. So that's what I'm saying. Like, once Steam catches on how to, which they sort of did, but once they start making a little more, like Microsoft may make one that's powerful and cheap, and then who the fuck is GPD anymore? That's just some niche company, which it is now.
For sure.
And people are just buying into the fact because you have a niche company like this who you want to pay. You want something like this. That's small form factor. You can go around and play like a Game Boy. Cool, but you're going to have to pay that premium price.
Bingo.
And now you're starting to see on the horizon that companies are going, well, fuck you, look, I could do this for cheaper. So anyway, 7 out of 10 from both of us. I think there's a lot to be desired. I think there's a lot of things that work well and are successful, and there's a lot of things that is very infuriating and could be better. But overall, I would say if you get your hands on one or if you find one, I would totally skip it and just wait just a little bit down the road until... because it's only going to be a few more months until another one comes out.
Very true.
Yep.
Just a matter of time.
That was a sponsor.
Do you have a dog that coughs? Do you have a dog that maybe might be coughing up a fur ball?
Oh my God, someone killed me.
Yeah.
Well, here's the hairball plunger. You stick that plunger in the dog's mouth.
No vomiting anymore from this dog. Ba-ding.
May cause heart problems with death. That being said, that is our extensive 5-month review of GPD Win 3.
Yes, I feel like I might need to do the next podcast we do. I need to do a follow-up because I will put a little more effort into playing it just to back it up. Tom has assisted me in finding some classic games that will rebirth the love for me to play it a little bit more, and then I'll do that, and then I'll follow up. Maybe my rating will change, maybe it won't, but I think 7
I think it's going to change because of the fact of I think once you start playing these games and you start realizing like there's a whole catalog of things of games you're like, fuck, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
let me pop it in play. Mm-hmm. You're not going to really have 95% confidently, I'm going to say, all the games that you've been wanting to play will run. You'll have no issues unless it's old and it's not compatible. But
got it. Or Call of Duty Black Ops.
Call of Duty Black Ops, yes.
Which is fine because I play that on my computer at home.
Yeah,
no issues. So,
and I think it's played out by this point. I guess I haven't touched that in a bit. And I'm kind of like, whatever.
They've done a couple upgrades here and there that keep it sort of entertaining. I played it once in the past, maybe a month and a half.
It's probably the same here. Yeah,
I played it with. It just so happened like Lewis was on, and I played with him for a little bit. So we played some multiplayer. We played the new Zombies map, which I vaguely remember being a little different and interesting, but
nothing too crazy.
Hasn't been like a priority or whatever. Okay. I mean, I'm for me, like I've I've kind of funneled back from when I used to play multiplayer. So now that I'm playing multiplayer again, it's kind of rebirthed that. So my exhaustion of it hasn't fully kicked in. It's just busyness and just semi-laziness that prevented me from playing. But yeah, you know, I haven't grown to be fully tired of Black
Video
Ops
games
just yet.
or Black Ops?
Black Ops in general, yeah. Video games too, because I started playing Red Dead Redemption again and I gave up on that too.
On the GPD or the computer?
Both.
Okay. Well, I will say, although you don't play you haven't played video games as much,
Yeah.
we'll still buy the other GPD.
I'm putting my down payment on it now.
With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to have Damien go ahead and sign out.
This has been another Dub Feet Variety Hour.
Peace.
The end.